Today's video is once again sponsored by PicDrop. When you think about great photographers, they have this ability to go out there and just pick up a camera and take great photographs. But there's two problems with that. One is that, okay, obviously we only see what they want to show us, right? We don't see all the images that never made the cut. And there's a second problem, which is that we're not aware of the signals that they're picking up, that they're attuned to, those 7 signs that I feel like a great photograph is sending out the whole time. But we have to be in tune and aligned with those waves, as it were, to actually take the great photographs. So what are these signs? What are these feelings that are being telegraphed out there towards us? The first is, unsurprisingly, light. Light's at the heart of everything that we do as photographers. And being in tune with the light, I feel, goes so far. That is like the biggest contributor to getting, great photographs. A recent student in the cohort that I'm running currently, he said, look, fan hose photography. How do I go about achieving this? Now, it's tempting, I think, to feel that, Fan Ho just wandered around the streets of Hong Kong, schnippity away, and just stumbled on these dramatic scenes. But I feel that he didn't. He was waiting for light to play into his hand. That, maybe he would go, that makes an interesting composition, but the light's not right today. Or maybe he was around somewhere and he went, geez, this light is really cool today, but it's not in the right place for me right now in terms of the composition. So he's in tune with the light. He's thinking about what it can bring to the table. How can he work with it rather than being working against it? That's a sign. As soon as it's not about dramatic light or golden hour or anything like that. It's about understanding what you have to work with. That's the first sign. That every single photograph that you've ever taken has that sign in it. But how many times have you just kind of, I'm not thinking about that. I've got a preconceived idea in my head already about what it is that I want to photograph, and I'm trying to shoehorn the light into it. We're going to come back to that point about preconception later on, but let's rewind ever so slightly and think about Fan Ho, like Hong Kong. Right? Whoa, it's a hugely busy city and what have you. And no doubt you have been in an environment before where you are like, there's so many things here to photograph. What should I actually be paying attention to? Now, there's an easy way to kind of kickstart that process, is to do something that I referenced, that I called the squint method in a video, it was about 2 years ago now, where the idea was, when you have lots of things to photograph, the thing that stands out, the great image, may not necessarily be what you think it is. So what you do is you can take off your glasses. My eyesight's not that bad, but I kind of look, it's a bit squinty, and see what shows up. When you do this squint, you reduce the world to a blur. What stays with you? A shape, form, an outline of something, maybe a splash of color. That's those signals. These can be very subtle, but if you are now putting a filter over the world, and something that somebody suggested in the comments of that video was that you could actually just defocus your lens and then have the same effect. Those subtle signals are a sign that a great photograph might be there. So try that the next time you're out, that you're struggling about what to photograph. Just defocus your lens. See what the world shows you when you're not looking at it as a super sharp image. These days I have a little issue with my knees, so this tip is a little bit trickier for me, right? which is changing perspective. For ages, when I got started in photography, I would just walk around, with the camera, eye height, just doing my thing. If somebody was sitting down, I might squat down, but I never really changed my perspective because I'd been told that, photograph up here. But when you do change up your perspective, you might need to be low. You might need to be high to catch those signals of where the great photograph is hiding. You have Elliot Erwitt, who often gets down dog eye level on the ground. You know, his photographs exist down there under knee height. So if he's up here, he's not hearing them. You know, they're down here, especially with the dogs. And then you go to the other extreme. You have somebody like Lachlan Marlinage. He climbs up these radio towers in Berlin, and his photographs are looking down. He needs to be up high to see those photographs. So it's not just necessarily that these ideas, these wavelengths are being beamed out all over. They could be running high, they could be running low. They could be at eye level. You just don't know. You have to explore, go hunting for them. Like in the old days when you had to tune in the television with the aerial. There it is. It's the same sort of thing with photography. This seeking out these photographs is about tuning in. It's about finding that signal and then refining the signal to a clear picture that you enjoy watching. Just want to take a quick moment to let you know about the TPE community newsletter that goes out every Saturday. It is obviously free. It's about a 5 to 10 minute read, which hopefully will inspire your photography over that weekend. If you'd like to sign up, then click on the link in the comments section below. There's always this debate in photography about color versus black and white. And it often comes down to, black and white photographs have more emotion to them or something like that. Or, they kind of, they're not influenced by the color, emotionally. And okay, that's fine in one sense. But in another regard, that's a little bit limiting. If you think about color or black and white, the choice, just about that. Or, something that's very graphic might only work in black and white. There isn't one size fits all. It could just, it's personal preference. I feel that whatever works for you. However, what is important is that often, as you may have discovered yourself already, that some photographs work in color and some don't. Van Ho, going back to him, because he was a good example of this. There's, Hong Kong, busy place. A lot of his photography is black and white. And I think it is a lot stronger for that because the color is not getting in the way. It's not being distracting. That's in that case why black and white photography works. His images need to be black and white. If I look at the color ones of his, they're not so, they're nice. I like them, but I don't think they're as good as the black and white ones. So him, if he'd only gone, I'm only going to photograph the color because I want the vibrancy and things like that, he may not be remembered today in the same way that he is. If you make a conscious decision, I'm only going to photograph color, I'm only going to photograph black and white, that's limiting. And you may be missing those signals that camera's not telling you anything. You're telling the camera to do stuff, right? That the photograph is telling you, but it might not just be again on that same wavelength. It may be the black and white wavelengths, and it's hiding there. As somebody in the comments the other day, they said, "Is there anything in this mug that you keep waving around during here? And why do you have it?" Well, first of all, because my throat gets very dry when I talk like this, and secondly, it makes it feel a bit more informal. This is a chat on the couch and stuff, and there is actually coffee in here. I don't know if I can. There we go. Like you can see, maybe some thing there, right? And look, right. It's got a bit tepid now, but there is coffee. So I did something there. All right, I touched the coffee. It was wet and it's tepid, right? And I can feel this. Photographs. I don't know if you are aware of this, but some of the best photographs have this tactile nature to them. That you can feel subconsciously the thing that is in the image. Right? If you think about like an orange, it's got a pitted skin. You can feel the texture, especially an image that shows up that texture. Your mind can feel that orange. And because your mind can feel it, it can smell the citrus. It can, it unlocks so many other emotions and feelings within you. And within photography, when you start adding texture to things, it makes it feel a little bit like you could actually hold it. And when you photograph things that other people can hold, it heightens that feeling. That's, I think, a very often overlooked aspect to photographs, is tapping into a tactile nature in somebody's head. Now, this feels a little bit hippy-dippy kind of stuff like that, but the photographs that you want people to really connect with, if you can inject some of that into your images, if you can recognize things around you that are going to help bring that aspect into your photograph, then they're contributing actors in the image that you're taking. Having that sense of realism, of making the photograph feel like it's something alive, something organic, rather than just a two-dimensional image, goes so far to making a photograph great. Now, I mentioned earlier about preconceptions and ideas and things within photography. And throughout the cohort that I'm currently running, we're talking about last week, actually, preconceived ideas. You know, that we go into photography with these ideas about what it is that we want to photograph. And we go a place and go, well, it's the seaside, so it must be the water, and it must be this, and it must be that. And it's quite limiting, because again, we are shutting off ideas within our heads about what we could possibly photograph. So the signals might be coming in saying, you can photograph me, no, me. But you're like, nope. I've come here exclusively to do a long shutter speed image of the water flowing over the rocks as it goes out at high tide. And you might miss some great photographs. It's just one of those moments that when you are keeping your eyes open, when you challenge all these preconceived ideas, when you go as an empty slate, as it were, right, just waiting to be kind of, have inspiration just fall upon you, then it makes you more receptive. So think about any sort of ideas that you have, these preconceived notions about anything that you photograph, and try this weekend to kind of just not follow them, right? Just go out on a limb, see what happens, see what you can find when you go off-piste, as it were. You may or may not be familiar with Henri Cartier-Bresson and his idea. Well, that's not technically his idea exclusively, but the idea of the decisive moment. This is this idea that, there will be one moment in a photograph when everything just aligns, and that's like the cool image. And a lot gets made of this. People talk about it and they kind of analyze it and things of that nature. I think what it boils down to is, if you want to, do the decisive moment, it's intuition. It's relying on your intuition. All of these things we've talked up to this point about, lighting and where you are and the preconceived ideas and textures and all those kind of things. These are not really worth a hill of beans, as a cowboy would say, unless you have the ability within you to trust your instinct, to go with your intuition. That's why I think a lot of photography, sort of tutorials and things like that can feel a little bit difficult, because they're not building up your ability to be confident in yourself, to take the photograph. That you sit there and go, that's what's important here. That's the moment I'm going to take the picture. This is the lens that I need. You're trusting your gut. That idea comes up, gradually. Obviously, when you just get started in photography, your intuition is a little bit all over the place. But as you practice, as you progress, as you look at your photographs and you come back and you go, okay, all right, and now that kind of worked. I could see what I was thinking. I trusted my gut with this, and I just went with it. If you'd like to find out more about how to employ the squint method in your photographs and find those hidden treasures that are all around us, then check out this video over here. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.